guys, it's me, Tiffany, and I am sorry I haven't posted anything in like forever. I've just been in a funk in general, not necessarily with reading or anything in particular, just haven't felt like doing much, so I haven't. And anybody who knows me knows I love Brandon Sanderson. I like fantasy. I am late to Brandon Sanderson. I didn't get into him until like last year. And I felt like reading something easier, and I decided to pick up his White Sand comics. Well, I got the first two here, and I'm sorry they're glossy. They're library copies. My library did not have the third and final one, so that's on Kindle, so I don't have it to lift up here. And I just want to say I was excited to read this. I like graphic novels as well as fantasy. I thought it was going to be good. Was it good? No. Was it bad? No. But I don't think I would recommend it. I rated all of them 3 on Goodreads. That's kind of me being generous. It's very middle of the road. Like, I'm going to probably tear this apart and make it sound like I should have gave it a 1 star. But the story was actually just like halfway okay. I thought the magic system is interesting. And they have sand magic, and it's the main guy basically is not that great at sand magic, and then he eventually gets better and works his way up, which I think is an interesting concept. Instead of people being naturally just like talented, you actually have to work for it. So I do like that, but it just fell short, and like the way the panels flow was horrendous. Like, I read a lot of graphic novels and I read a lot of manga, and it just didn't flow well. There was points where, like, especially like in the third one, where a lot of the dialogue bubbles would be on top of each other, and I guess a character was supposed to interrupt another character, but that just annoyed me. And I don't know, it didn't vibe with me well, and it felt like it didn't have the soul of Brandon Sanderson. And this is based off his first novel that got adapted into a graphic novel, but he never published it. Apparently you can read it, or read the first chapter in like a short story collection he has. And I haven't read that, so I don't know how it translated, but apparently it's different enough that this is canon, that isn't. So there's that. So if you're really into the Cosmereverse, chronologically, this is the first one. So there's that. I've seen people complain about the first one because there's 2 sides of the world, and one side is day and one side is night, or it's light and dark. Yeah, totally original, right? And the light side is kind of deserty, really sun, and it's just not as bright. But when you go to the dark side, it's definitely a lot brighter. And I think that makes sense. Like, I actually think that's like a fine choice, because if you've ever been in the desert in bright sun, things just don't look as green as lush sometimes to the eye, because so much light just comes back at you. It like bleaches everything out as well. So that didn't faze me, but the artist changed like midway through this one, and while it did get better, I think it's weird to change halfway through. I've mentioned this when I've talked about the Shuri like graphic novel, where it was just like 2 of them, and there was different artists for volume 1 and volume 2. If it's going to be one story arc, I personally, and this is just me, this is a preference, I like the artist to stay consistent if possible, but I know sometimes crap happens, so here we are. And yeah, this just does not feel like there was his soul in this, and it disappointed me to no end. And I didn't necessarily just wanted to come on here and just complain, but I haven't seen too many people talk about like White Sand on like YouTube or anything. And I don't want to get too deep into the story because the story is so short. I don't want to just ruin, I don't want to ruin the whole thing when it's short. And if you are really into Brandon Sanderson, go ahead. It's okay. But this is definitely not where to start out with him, unless you just hate big books and you'll only read graphic novel type of person. But yeah, like, I just want to know what happened. Like, he is such a good writer, and I've only like not liked one of his other books, but that was like the first book of the first era of Mistborn, and I like the rest, so I don't know what happened. In the third volume, The ending was just like, okay. I wasn't like ecstatic about it. I was like, okay, I read this. I even thought about DNFing this series after the first one, but I wanted to see it through just because with Mistborn, I did not like the first one, but then I end up loving the trilogy. This is just so middle of the road that it's just there. And I know this was not much of a video, but I have so many feelings about because of who the author is. And I know he wasn't the only one who worked on this, so it's not just him. But I'm just like, what happened?